The powerful Maratha Empire was incepted with the coronation of Shivaji Bhosle as Chhatrapati in 1674, but its seeds, as we shall see, had been sown much earlier by his father, Shahaji. For the most part in Indian history, Shahaji's contributions have either been overlooked or not given much importance, thereby reducing him to a mere footnote in the vast and glorious Maratha history. But this could not be any further from the truth. Shahaji Raje Bhosle was born on 15th of March, 1594 at Verul near Ellora. His father Mauloji worked for a powerful baron of Sindh Kade, Lakhuji Jadhav Rao, to whose daughter Jijabai, Shahaji was later married to. Of this marriage, Sambhaji and Shivaji were born. Another son, Ekoji, was born from another marriage with Tukabai. Over the years, Mauloji grew in influence and became close to Malakam Bar, the famous general of Ahmednagar, from whom the Bhosles learnt a lot in war and diplomacy. After Mauloji's death in 1620, Shahaji inherited his position and soon became the right-hand man of Malakam Bar. His first major test came in November of 1624 during the Battle of Batwadi when Mughals, alongside Bijapur, invaded Ahmednagar. Shahaji was by Malakam Bar's side in Ahmednagar's defense, in which they were victorious. Due to his impressive performance in the battle, his importance increased in Ahmednagar, of which Malik became jealous and their relationship soured. As a result, Shahaji had to quit the services of Nizam Shah and joined the ranks of Adil Shah of Bijapur. In the next 6 to 7 years, he went to and fro lending his services to Bijapur, Mughals, and Ahmednagar due to various circumstances. Finally, by the year 1633, he had placed a young Nizam Shahi prince on the Ahmednagar throne in the makeshift capital at Pemagiri, only 3 months after the fall of Daulatabad at the hands of the Mughals. And Bijapur allied itself with him in this venture. Shahaji proved to be too skillful for the 20,000-strong army sent after him by the Mughal emperor, by evading pitched battles, constantly outmarching the enemy, and inflicting heavy damages on their rear guard. At last the Mughals left the pursuit of Shahaji and joined the other half of their army against Bijapur, where after several indecisive engagements both sides came to terms and Adil Shah agreed to abandon Shahaji. Shahaji now had to face both the Mughals and Bijapur at the same time. He left Junnar after it was attacked, and leaving a garrison there continued harassing the enemy. At one point after being surrounded, he retreated into Konkan through the Sahyadris, and later he crossed through the same passes and reached Desh. At last he was besieged at Mahuli, where after a prolonged resistance, and on seeing his men suffer without provisions, he asked for terms in October of 1636. He had to surrender the young prince and the fortresses still in his possession. He was then allowed to enter the services of Bijapur and managed to receive back all of his personal lands and left his wife Jijabai and son Shivaji to manage them, being debarred from residing there. Thus extraordinary resilience and clever diplomacy not only let him escape from the dire situation he was in, but even raised his status. Upon joining the Bijapuri services, he was sent on 3 expeditions to the Karnataka region between 1637 and 1640. These southern regions formerly belonged to the erstwhile empire of Vijayanagar, but were now ruled independently, mostly by relatives of the royalty and ministry of the old Vijayanagar kingdom. Shahaji was permanently posted at Bangalore after he had captured it. For the military and administrative work which he had to execute, he shifted many Marathas loyal to him from Maharashtra and trained them as officials. He introduced Marathi as the court language into the Karnataka regions, and along with it the Maharashtra system of revenue and accounts. He held an open court, wherein he entertained musicians, poets, writers and saints. Thus in a short time a miniature Maharashtra arose in the midst of these lands, the effects of which have survived to this day. This incredible style of administration elevated him in the eyes of the locals, who viewed this new regime as almost a continuation of older traditions. At this point, two of his sons, Sambhaji and Ekhoji, were learning everything directly from him, while Shivaji lived with his mother in Maharashtra. Shahaji sent regular remittances to Bijapur and was careful in his official dealings with them. But in spite of his continued loyalty, Adil Shah started to doubt him, as a new claimant had risen to the throne of Vellore and Shah suspected Shahaji's hand in it. At the same time, Shivaji had captured Singh and Shah concluded father and son's complicity. But to openly distrust a powerful chief like Shahaji was not an easy task. Several expeditions were sent to put down the rising rebellions in the south and to arrest Shahaji by proving his disloyalty. After years of no proof being established of his disloyalty, Shahaji was finally arrested in July of 1648 when he got into an argument against a Bijapuri general during the siege of Ginji and was taken to Bijapur. But he could not be harmed as Bangalore and Sindh were still in the hands of his sons. Thus, two separate armies were dispatched to capture them, but they failed in their tasks as Sambhaji and Shivaji turned out to be as capable commanders as their father. To make matters more complicated for Bijapur, Mughals started to mediate into the matter after Shivaji had written to them upon learning of his father's captivity. Finally, after nothing was achieved and proven, Shahaji had to be released after nearly 10 months in captivity. He agreed to non-hostility towards Bijapur and was reinstated in his former position. Once again, Shahaji had persevered through adversity and come out of it stronger. Thereafter he made Kanakgiri his new headquarters where Sambhaji joined him, while Ekhoji remained at Bangalore. Bijapur and Golconda went to war in 1651, with Shahaji representing Bijapur, and he was victorious, further enhancing his position. The death of Adil Shah in 1656 made Shahaji the most powerful man in Bijapur. Simultaneously, increased Mughal aggression towards Bijapur meant that Shivaji's territorial expansion went unhindered. The court of Bijapur had to send Shahaji to meet Shivaji with the hopes of a negotiation. This visit of Shahaji proved to be a big boost for Shivaji's ambitions as Shahaji advised his son on various matters, but most importantly to focus his attention on the Mughals. They inspected various locations for setting up a strategic capital fort for Shivaji, and the location of the future fort at Raigad was chosen. This choice has been more than justified by subsequent history. Shahaji's illustrious career came to an end on 23 January 1664 when he died after a horse-riding accident. But his legacy lived on. He is rightly considered as the creator of Maratha culture and influence in the south. After the end of Vijayanagar Empire, Shahaji was the first Hindu leader who proved to be a force to reckon with in the battlefield. It was him who showed that it was possible to take a stand against the strongest of oppressors with unity and proper organization. He ultimately proved to be a kingmaker and the real inspiration behind Shivaji's idea of Hinduvi Swarajya. This was the tale of a diminutive man who, with his guile and far-sightedness, came over one adversity after another and carved out a niche for himself. We are working on bringing many more such stories to you in the future. Subscribe to our channel to not miss out on them. Until next time.